light upon us. For the night is dark and full of terrors.
And that, my friends, is what intuition is. It is a flicker of light that illuminates darkness. It's a rare feeling, a voice that seems to come from a divine force from within or from without. Sadly, not many people are able to channel this great light perfectly or correctly. Many of us are like Melisandre from HBO's hit series Game of Thrones. Instead of channeling the light and working for good, we become mad or crazy. We become so fanatical and so drunk off of power and victory that we start to make mistakes. Terrible mistakes. So how does one know if that inner voice is coming from the great divine, the light, or the shadow aspects of self? Well, we're going to talk about all that in this video. We're going to talk about becoming an intuition empath and how you can avoid the pitfalls of madness by following the light. So stay tuned for that. So Melisandre is more than just the 1,000-year-old witch from the foreign lands. She is the savior. She is the heroine. She is a witch and a red priestess who helped humanity survive. Only she comes from humble beginnings. She was born a slave and forced to live off of meager scraps of food. And as a sense of refuge, she finds a Lord of Light. And when she finds him, she vows to dedicate her life to him by becoming a red priestess. She surrenders and allows this Lord of Light to speak through her, and as a reward, he adorns her with a beautiful brooch that gives her everlasting beauty and youth. He also gives her additional magical powers. With these magical powers, she can look into the flames of the fire and see visions in them. She's also able to give birth to shadow-like beings who can then conduct mayhem and madness and destruction. But sadly, many intuits and empaths fail to realize that they are very much like Melisandre. They may not worship a foreign or fictional god in this case, but the light works through them just as well. The light casts shadows all around them, where they can feel the emotions of other people, and in some cases they can even read other people's minds. You see, Melisandre believes that she has mastered the art of prophecy. She tells Stannis Baratheon that he is the prince that is promised. After all, she had looked within the flames and seen his victory in the winter storm. However, what Melisandre fails to understand is that a flicker of light is just that, a flicker. The light isn't strong enough to cast a glow and illuminate the darkness that is creeping about in the corners. Now, I equate intuition as driving a car in the pitch black darkness. You can only see what's directly in front of you. And the further you go, the more you can see. And I believe that no intuit or empath or psychic or clairvoyant, for that matter, has access to this light. Nobody can predict the future with 100% accuracy. They can only see flickers of it. Then they have to piece together what they see with their mind. They have to put together the big picture with their own emotions, their own understanding of how the world works. And there lies the problem, my friends. You see, the future is always changing. In fact, that's exactly what the future is. It consists of millions, if not billions, of probabilities that possibly could happen. And all of these variables are dependent on the intentions and the motivations of all the people involved. However, in Melisandre's case, it's not the millions upon billions of probabilities that she needs to sift through. Rather, she needs to do a deep dive and analyze the shadow aspects of who and what she is. Now, I talk about shadow work in my other videos, and I cover this topic very thoroughly because I believe that it's very important for people to understand the shadow side of self. And sadly, many intuits and psychics and clairvoyants fail to understand the power of the shadow self and how it can mimic that voice that you think is coming from a divine power.
Shadows cannot live in the dark, Sir Devils. They are servants of light, the children of fire. And the brighter the flame, the darker they are.
It can mimic that voice that you think is coming from the ancestors or coming from the supernatural force that's outside of you. Come on now, we've all heard the stories of people who committed heinous crimes, and they stated that they were only listening to the voices in their heads. Now, what makes intuitions or clairvoyants or psychics any different? It was Melisandre herself who said that she is at the command, at the beck and call of the Lord of Light himself. And he gives her the power to give birth to shadow-like beings. And he gives her the power to kill her enemies. And he gives her the power to kill her enemies and rally their soldiers to her side. Melisandre experiences victory, especially in the beginning of Game of Thrones. And as a result, her confidence and her intuition and her power grows. The only issue is that Melisandre's visions are no longer coming from the Lord of Light. They're coming from her. We can see this when she seduces Stannis. She teases Sir Davos when he sees her in a black robe. And later she even tries to put the moves on Jon Snow. She is a temptress and not averse to using her sexuality as a power play. More importantly, she was terrible to non-converts. She was terrible to all the people who chose not to convert to the Lord of Light. And she had no qualms about sentencing them to death and watching idly as they were burned alive. With all that said, it's safe to say that Melisandre lost her way. In the beginning, her intentions were clear. All she had to do was whisper into Stannis' ear and guide him to victory. However, as the future unfolded and she stumbled across more and more barriers, Melisandre's mission became less and less about her prophecy and more about her own success. After all, it was Sir Davos who doubted her from the very beginning. It was him who warned Stannis about the Red Woman who was seeking to claim his victory as her own. Melisandre grew colder and crueler with each victory. Each battle gave her a taste of power, and defeating her adversaries gave her a false sense of superiority and pride. So much so that the voice in her head was less and less from the Lord of Light, and more from the evil and wicked shadow side that was suppressed inside of her. And there lies the issues with many priestesses and followers of certain religions. They become fanatical. They become blinded by the truth. They hear the voices and see bits and pieces of the prophecy, yet they fail to understand that it is the suppressed shadow side of them that is piecing it all together. In the end, the religion, the sacred texts, the visions have a sick, twisted slant. These visions are interpreted through the lens of a wounded person who seeks to create a future that only benefits them. After all, there were thousands of religious wars that were based on the words of a prophecy or of a powerful God. It is the shadow side of self that clouds people's judgments. And when that shadow is unchecked, it will destroy everything in its path. And sadly, that was Melisandre's fate. She killed many people by fire, including Stannis' beloved daughter Shirlene, consoling him that death by fire was the purest death. However, she couldn't even stand behind him in battle. She fled back to Castle Black once she realized that Stannis was going to be defeated by the Boltons. After this, her beliefs were shaken and doubt crept in. And for the first time, we see Melisandre for who and what she was, an old wrinkled hag. An old wrinkled hag who was virtually powerless without the Lord of the Light. And for the first time, she truly understands that she was only the vessel for the voice to work through. She realizes that she was wrong, not about the prophecy of the prince that was promised, but she was wrong to use the religion and the Lord of Light as a means to her own success. And that is the difference between the shadow and the light. Shadow is about greed and power and domination. It's about our darkest impulses being manifested through our religious endeavors, for lack of better words. Whereas the light is simply about surrendering to your intuition and fulfilling the mission, even if it doesn't directly benefit you. In the end, Melisandre was able to learn this lesson. She was able to generate enough light to resurrect Jon Snow, and she played a pivotal role in the battle against the living and the White Walkers. She was the one who lit the swords of the Dothraki, and later she was the one who was able to light the trench on fire, killing thousands if not millions of White Walkers and securing the palace of Winterfell. Melisandre is a great example of empaths and intuitions, learning that they are just vessels for this truth. And they have to put aside their own opinions and their own self-interest for the good of humanity. And when they do this, they're going to be able to foretell the future with greater accuracy. And they're not going to go crazy in the process. So that's what channeling energy is all about. That's what intuition is all about. That's what clairvoyance is all about. It's all about channeling energy, surrendering, letting the light shine through, and using that light to advance humanity. So guys, that's the video. I would love for you to comment. What do you think about Game of Thrones and intuition and clairvoyance? And what do you think about Melisandre? Please, I'd love to read your comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and if you are a book reader of dark fantasy, you can sign up and get 2 free books, hopefully mine, from Audible when you click on the link below and get that free trial. So with all that said, this is Yessie Blue, and I am signing out. Until next time, peace out.